came in with my wife and I turned around, she wasn't there. I gave off a Joe Biden kind of vibe. I was like, sorry. Very old. Where are you? Oh, okay.
Give us just a second to get started. We're going to let more people in.
I just have to get set up, so I figured while people are coming in, you can say some stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then we'll give instructions for how everything's going to go after this. You guys are all locked in. I love it. Am I in your way?
Yeah, you're like...
I'm like, I know. I'm like, I'm going to get out of it. Whoa. What is that? Slow down. Slow down.
Hey, you already took off last night. You already took off last night.
That was it. That was it. One time.
That's recovery. Hey, you want to do the recovery?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I did not stretch enough. Stop it. This is not the moderator. That was last night. Come on. You can. I am a car whip. Again, if there are any open seats, put your hands up so we can see how we can fill those up. If there's any open seats, as you guys are coming in, look for someone with their hand up. There's a seat there. Find an open, or a hand that's up for an open seat. Hands up for an open seat, please. We got one on this side. Yes, we got.
It's like concentrated while all I got is
Good? Okay.
I don't see any lines there. There's either, so.
Hey Jim, why Dodgers and not Angels? What? Why are you Dodgers fan and not Angels fan?
I'm a Dodgers fan and not an Angels fan. Self-evident. There are no Angel fans here, so I know it's self-evident. Are there Angels fans anywhere? No. Are there Angels fans? Or no, don't even pretend like you're an Angels fan. There are no Angels fans here. No, absolutely no Angels. Any Angels fans here?
My friend works for the Angels.
Okay, that's not a fan. Excuse me? Lakers or Clippers? Happy Lakers. No one cares about the Clippers. No.
Ladies and gents, if you are signed up for the experience after this at 4 o'clock, it is not in this room. We will have to move like a big herd of animals to 718. If you have not gotten your QR code scanned and gotten a ticket, that's where you will do so with Kevin Boyd. So 718 is the room that you'll need to go to, which is on the other side.
It's the champagne room.
It's definitely the champagne room. And there's all kinds of gym happening in the champagne room.
Sorry, can you say that again?
So 718 At 4 o'clock is where you'll want to be for the extended experience. If you have your ticket, you can just go on in. If you just have the QR code, you'll check in with Kevin Boyd, who will be at the door, so that way you can get your ticket piece. Is that cool? Any questions? You guys good?
Sorry.
All right, yes.
The experience?
The experience, yes. It's in room 718 at 4 o'clock. So we're all gonna leave here as like a big family. We're gonna walk very slowly like a zombie horde. We're gonna eat people along the way to 718 to do the experience.
Crowd surf Jim there.
Yeah.
Jim said, cool. His wife said, don't you dare. So we're not doing that. I'm gonna get out of your hair real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, make some noise for the absolute legend.
I want you to come to all my DC meetings. it's our marketing meeting. The one and only. P&L meeting. Thank you for that. Hello, Toronto, Canada. It's a happy place here. I just saw My Chemical Romance last night. Anyone else? I saw some fans there. They pointed out. Yes. And then apparently tonight, 9 Inch Nails. Yeah. I'm thinking about how do I get to there from here. And then tomorrow is Oasis.
So are you going to Oasis?
Huh?
Are you going to the concert?
No, I'm waiting for Nickelback. Is actually. Anyway, who has? It's been a long time since I've been to Toronto. I think it's been at least
8 years.
8 years. Okay. 2017. I was here 3 years ago?
You're in 2019.
I was here 3 years ago?
Not 3 years ago.
No, I was not here 3 years ago.
2019 is now 6
It must have been another year.
2017 and 19.
2017 and 19. I went on the CN Tower.
Yes, and Snyder.
And I said, I'll never come back.
Yeah,
And then, right, no. And then there was another time where I met Carrie Fisher. Yeah. She was on the floor. This is before all the Star Wars movies. I think it was 2009.
Yeah. Very last was 19.
Yeah. Anyway, I love coming back here. It's such a vibrant city, beautiful city. And so we're gonna do something, actually, we're gonna do the exact same thing I always do, but maybe we'll put a twist in it. So for those of you who never, how many have been to this panel, all right, who has not been to okay, all right, so, all right, great. So I do a panel, I do Q&A, it's very interactive, and then I try to draw while I'm answering questions and then give the sketches away to people in the audience. You guys can then liquidate them into Canadian dollars. You can gift them to a friend. No one ever does that, but you can gift them to a friend or whatever. And I normally just draw DC characters because I run DC Comics and I want to feel like I support the team, but I'm an international, I'm not in the United States. I feel like in Canada, the rules don't apply here. So I'm going to crowdsource the first sketch very quickly. Just by cheers, do we go, should I start simple and then go big? Let's see. Marvel, DC, or other? Marvel? DC? Yeah! Other? Alright, sound like DC won. No? You're wearing a Star Wars t-shirt. Alright, Marvel? DC. I think DC won. We'll do more than one sketch. Alright, so DC, male character, female character. Male? Yeah! Female? Female character. 20 questions. There's so many.
Marvel versus DC!
The what?
Marvel versus DC!
Marvel versus DC. Yeah, we can talk about that. So, DC character that's female. All right, so superpower, non-superpower. Superpower? Non-superpower. Non-superpower. Who's like, I don't know any non-superpower. Batgirl?
Yeah.
Catwoman.
Harley.
Huntress.
Harley.
Huntress.
Harley.
Do we have any Canadian DC characters that are female without powers? Anyone? Do we have any do we have Canadian characters at all?
I think they all Canada doesn't exist.
That's a big oversight. What is our version of Alpha Flight? Do we have it?
Justice League International.
Justice League? Yeah. Saskatchewan League.
Or you can make your own DC main character.
Yes. There's got to be Canadian.
Yes, Superman was great back
That's different.
Excalibur.
Excalibur.
That's Marvel.
Yeah.
Or you can just do Alpha Flight.
Yeah, I can just draw Alpha Flight. All right. Okay, what should I draw?
Zatanna.
Zatanna.
Wow, but she has magic powers.
Powers, or does she channel magic?
Amethyst.
Oh, that's not a bad choice.
Yeah, that's off the beaten path.
My wife has my phone. Alright. I have no means to find. Okay, let's go to Zatanna. Not like to edit that. Anyway, so we can open up to Q&A, or should I do a preamble and talk about it? Do most people here know who I am? Like what? Yes. Does anyone have no idea who I am? Other than this very handsome Asian man. Yeah. Anyone? No? No one? No. If you did, you probably want to raise your hand. But so I'm Jim Lee. I've been working in comics since 1987. Long time. I worked at Marvel for a while. I co-founded this small publishing company called Image Comics. I think they're still around. And then I left that to sell. I sold Wildstorm, which was my group of characters, to DC Comics in 1998. And then in 2010, they elevated me to become publisher of DC with Dan DiDio. And I've been at DC now for, 27 years now, for a long time. Anyway, yeah. And, my whole thing is, this is sort of an unlikely sort of occupation for me, in that when my parents moved to the United States when I was like 5 years old in 1969, and their dream for me was to become a doctor like my father. This is a short origin story, and I wanted to appease them and make them proud, but my heart wasn't in it. But my real passion lied with superheroes and comic books. That was something that was always in my life. Since we moved to the United States, I learned how to read English through comics. I think I've learned a lot of my morals and values through comic books. The stories they told. They were a huge escape for me as a little kid. Excuse me. And after I graduated from college, I basically told my parents, look, I want to take a gap year or take a year off. I'm going to try to break into comics, and if I don't, then I'll go to medical school. I had already taken my MCATs, which are these standardized tests that you need to take to go to medical school. Took organic chemistry. I took a lot of these prerequisites. I volunteered at hospitals and at labs, got recommendations from teachers or doctors and all that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, I was able to break into comics after about 3 or 4 months of trying. And and I thought that felt like a long time. I was like, this is taking forever. And then it felt like that because when you're 21 years old, you want immediate gratification. And then I met some of my peers, and that sometimes their journeys took 3 or 4 years before they got noticed and hired. So I don't know what would have happened if I didn't get hired in that first year. I probably would have been a doctor, I think, at the end of the day. So I was very fortunate that things happened. And basically, I was living in St. Louis, Missouri, the Midwest of the United States, and just mailing in submissions that didn't really go anywhere. And then someone who was working at DC that I knew said, no, you gotta really go to the conventions and meet the editors and show me your work. And so I went to a convention in New York City and showed my work to editors that were there. And that advice was right. They basically, Archie Goodwin, the late great Archie Goodwin, who was the editor at Marvel at the time, he saw my portfolio and he said, this looks good, come on into the Marvel offices on Monday. And they gave me a tryout story, and that was sort of the starting point of my career. So it can happen as easily as that. I just had a bunch of sample pages I put together, flew to New York City, stayed with some college roommates of mine that were working on Wall Street. So it was a super cheap trip, and yeah, got there like Friday or Thursday, and by Monday I was working in the industry and have not looked back since. So, and I don't know if there are any aspiring creatives here, writers, artists. Yes, yeah. So it's a lot easier now, I think, to break in, but it's also a lot harder because there's so many talented people out there. It's scary to me when I open up like Instagram and I scroll through and I follow a lot of great talent, artists. But then every now and then I come across a new person and I go like, wow, where has this person been? And the fact that we now probably have access to 90% or even higher of all the great talents all around the world, whereas when I was breaking in, it was just the people that were working in the industry, you know, you just didn't know if there were these amazing artists in other countries that just haven't been discovered yet. So I do feel like on one hand, it's a lot easier to get your work out there now. Now you're competing against everybody. Everyone has the same platform to show their work. And so I haven't quite decided if it's easier now to break into comics or harder than it was back in 1987.
Jim, can you adjust the contrast or?
Oh, I've drawn it again. No. Where is the contrast?
Oh, wow.
It'd be great if it was a button.
There should be an auto adjust on the camera.
Auto adjust on the camera.
Not there on the base.
On the base. On the base. Capture, record, freeze, escape, menu, right menu.
Oh. Image reference.
Advance? Do I have to go all the way to advance? Just guessing.
Yeah,
we can do that.
Document cameras.
Okay, all right. No, I can do that. If it's in shadow, it shows up.
Yeah.
If it's in light, it's not. It's interesting. Turn the lights down.
The lights under.
Anyone have really good arm strength?
That's fine.
That's all right. I can do it. I can do it.
Do it, please. Draw faster.
I can do it. Anyway, so any questions? Yes.
So you first started drawing, I guess a Frank Miller-esque Batman to your current Batman. How do you constantly evolve, make it fresh? Take a character that's been around for 85 years and now continue to put a new spin on it and not just keep it the same.
I think the light's coming from here. Oh, if I keep that one behind you.
Yeah.
You know what? Hold on. So, if anyone's seen my live Twitch streams, this is very much like what happened. There you go. I know you guys can see it? So your question was, I've done a different.
Well, you started off with your first Batman was the Frank Miller-esque Batman.
Correct.
And then you evolved Batman to your current state. How do you continue to evolve it, keep it fresh, without, just doing the same old Batman every time? Where's that inspiration, thoughts come from? So it's still Batman, but it's changing and evolving.
A lot of it is just, trying to keep it interesting, like you're saying. If you draw the same old, like regardless of whatever, whether you do a Frank Miller sort of wing, boring kind of 1940s inspired short ear, big barrel chest kind of Batman, or you do the more gymnastic kind of life, sort of pulled out, longer sort of Batman, Neil Adams Batman. They're perfectly valid. I think I started with Frank Miller just because his take on Batman, because I was such a huge fan of Dark Knight Returns, and but then by the end of the first Hush run, he started looking more like Neil Adams, and then the second run with Jeff, it definitely feels more like Neil Adams, because I know Jeff likes the longer ears, and so I try to accommodate him, and also to make something look different, so I'm not just repeating myself. So at this point, I've kind of done every ear height, a different version of his belt, from the New 52 to Rebirth to his current costume.
So you don't get bored just drawing Batman over and over again, or ever thought about doing Batman Beyond? Something, still Batman, just a different, challenge.
Yeah, Batman Beyond, I'm not I'm sure there are Batman Beyond fans here. I'm not as big of a fan of that costume, because it's just a black costume with like red eyes. It's like Venom. It's too easy for my talents. I don't know. It's tricky because they work best when you just draw them in their flat black, and same with like Wolverine's mask. But then, because I do a lot of moodly stuff, and I don't want to do it, but I can't help it. If I drew Batman Beyond, I would start to figure out ways not to draw muscles and reflections and highlights, and not do that flat black look, and
Or adapt it like you've done with all the other Batman.
Yeah, but I would be breaking the simplicity of that costume, right? So there's certain costumes that look better, best when it's just like straight like Havoc, right? So that's the challenge there. So the simpler the costume, like the harder it is for me to make it my own. Give me a really complicated costume, I can do that, right? But yeah, I think at the end of the day, you recognize that your fans have seen your take on this character, how do you keep it interesting, and then that's why we put the yellow on there, which was always the plan for a Hush sequel, even back 20 years ago when we shared some of the visual ideas that we had. It's also, I think, why I had a propensity to kind of redesign costumes when I take a little over, just something different. I think the history of comics is such that these characters have been around for like 8 decades, and how do you keep them interesting? And I think it's when you allow the artists and creatives to come in and add their own kind of personal touch or flair to it, and that's how you keep it interesting. And even though people might hate it at the time, they tend to be very fond of things they hated, or vice versa, power of nostalgia. So yeah, I hope that answers this question.
Do you have any say or input into
No.
DC movies?
I knew where you're going. It depends on the movie. If you like the movie, I had a lot of really smart people. I get to work with on those good movies. The one, no, it really, look, I just be very truthful. Warner Brothers is a very auteur-driven company, whereas I would very simply put, like, Disney is more of a franchise-driven company, where they decide this is what this whole universe or story or narrative or brand is going to be, everything's gonna fit into that. I think the challenge Warner Brothers has is, that would be a great thing to aspire to, but at the same time, they want to give their filmmakers the freedom to tell their stories, right? And it's a challenge sort of, making these two things sort of align.
But could they ever make a Hush movie, or use a Hush storyline for a Batman movie?
Would they?
Yeah, well, would they? Or?
They own it, they can do whatever they want. But I would say more from the standpoint of like my role at the company. So like, I'll use this as an example, because it's pretty clear, like the Joker movie, right? Like, so Todd Phillips had his idea for what he wanted to do with the character. It really didn't lean on comic book canon. So we had zero influence on that. It was really like, maybe some legal stuff that we had clear in terms of ownership and compensation and stuff like that. But in terms of the creative direction, like he had a very clear vision and like no input. And the first movie was super successful, the last movie less successful. And so, there are payoffs or pros and benefits of doing that. Certainly on movies like Superman and James Gunn stuff, or Suicide Squad, James is such a fan of the material, he doesn't really need outside input. Our role is like when there's a filmmaker that's not as familiar with the DC universe, and we try to basically call the universe in 80 years, 90 years of continuity. And you guys, the core fans, know like almost every DC character has like 3 to 5 different origins, right? Where they've been rebooted or reimagined. So it gets very complex. And so part of my role is looking at that, sort of distilling it down to the immutables of what makes this character, taking all the different bits of past continuity and trying to have it make sense and make it super simple so that someone who doesn't know understands who this character is, and then they can modify it as they wish. But at least they're starting from the starting point of what you guys know this character to be. And some filmmakers want to do a very superhero type movie, and other filmmakers want to do something that's very beholden and true to the canon and continuity. And I would say, in general, the more true it is to canon and continuity, the more successful it is. But you have to be able to take our very complex ideas that are in comic continuity and simplify it, but have it make sense to a casual fan that's coming into the DC universe for the first time. I can't say to a character, well, this character was created in the 40s, reimagined in the 50s, and then destroyed, and then there's a crisis, and the new universe came, and that person came and melded with this person. Like I've lost them, right? And so it's important how we look at the complexity of what we're doing and figure out the clearest way to communicate what makes these characters so special to like more of the mass audience. So that's kind of the role I kind of sit with. So, yes, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you. My question is regarding the transition from being a comic creator or artist and storyteller, transitioning into a managerial role,
Yes.
an editor or a publisher. During that period of time in your career, if there was a challenge or if it was a very key lesson or a piece of knowledge that you took away that helped you in that transition, moving from artist to business?
Yeah, I don't know if it was a key moment, but there were certainly key people. The value of having a mentor, whether they say I'm your mentor, is just someone that you sort of decided is going to be your role model and look up to and kind of mirror or pay attention to how they handle situations, right? Like almost like what would they have done in this situation? It's a good North Star in terms of making the decision making yourself when you get to that level. And so when I started out, I was definitely not a manager. I hadn't led people, and obviously I started a company. I had 120 people, but I didn't go to business school. I didn't have a lot of that kind of formal executive training. But I learned through just watching, observing, mirroring. I think that's a pretty valid sort of stratagem, I guess. you know, I think I've always been that way in life, and that's also been a big component of why, of the artist side of me, right? Which is like, any of you guys that are artists, for me at least, it was about observing something, figuring out why this looks like a car versus a tricycle or a plane, right? It doesn't have wings, it has 3 wheels, it has 4 wheels, whatever. And then understanding that what you're seeing is what am I trying to say? You observe it, you break it down into its components, you memorize that, and then you draw it, right? You express that out there, and so being able to observe, and I think part of that was also being an immigrant, moving to a new culture. A large part of it is like, how do I fit in? Well, you fit in by watching what everyone else does. They're all wearing blue jeans and white shirts. All right, I'm gonna wear blue jeans and a white shirt, and you like how they stand, like how far apart they stand from each other, the greetings they have, the slang, all that kind of stuff. You try to incorporate it so you don't feel like such an outsider. You feel accepted, right? So to me, art is a lot of that, right? Learning how to draw, look at reality, look at someone's drawing, break it down, and then basically sort of mirror it and have it come out. And so as a manager, it's a lot of the same thing, which is like, how do managers, you know, interact with their employees? What are the words they use? And sometimes, you know, there's a whole vocabulary of executives and, you know, like, let's circle back, and, you know, I don't know if there are any people that have executive roles here, but there's a whole, like, business slang that's used, so you become familiar with that. But there were definitely people in my career, like Paul Levitz, who was my previous, he was the publisher before me, Dan DiDio, Kevin Tsujihara, Diane Nelson, Pam Lifford. They're all my bosses over the years. And I learned different things from each and every one of them, and goes through just sitting, observing, breaking down how they reacted and dealt with situations, and then sort of internalizing and incorporating that into my own, you know, set of responses, and also including my own point of view. It wasn't just, you know, basic, you know, sort of mimicry or whatever. But you learn a lot that way, and that's how you really, I think, get ahead. Or one of the ways you can kind of get ahead in corporate America, at least, right? Is understanding how the cultures work and the power of a culture, and how individuals really are the fuel cells that kind of drive the corporate cultures. Very long-winded answer. I'm gonna go all the way in the back. Yes?
I was just curious if there was a character, like you've been in the business for so long, is there still a character that you really want to, you know, work on and haven't had the opportunity yet, and why?
There's a lot. So at DC, I would say Wonder Woman would be interesting to do as a run, just because I've done a couple runs on Superman and Batman, but nothing really on Wonder Woman. There's a lot of, I love ancient Greek and Roman history, so there's a lot of, and mythology in general, so I think there's a lot of things that I could pull from that maybe might add a different dimension to her storytelling that would be different from the ways other creative teams have told Wonder Woman stories. And then the other one to me is the Legion of Superheroes. When I was a kid, yes, yeah, it's a good one. Excuse me? You love them too? Yeah. Oh, okay, awesome. We are simpatico. And when I was a kid, it was the Justice League, Justice Society, Titans, and Legion of Superheroes. So, like, I love teen books, and I love the fact that there were a bunch of teenagers in the future, and it kind of combined science fiction with superheroes. And I was a big Star Trek fan, and ships looked like Star Trek, you know, ships when Cochran was drawing them. And I always thought, like, it would be fun to be able to tell stories that both felt like science fiction, but also had a very superhero kind of conceit to them at the core. But someday, and doing a teen book, I don't know if that's in me anymore. Like, but if it could just be Legion, a legionnaire of superhero, one character, I could do it. Yeah, whatever. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just I know you've been in business for a
That, you mean characters like Terminator, Deathstroke the Terminator?
Well, I mean, like, just kind of the way Deadpool, like, is a Marvel character that, like, talks to the audience. And
You mean like Harley Quinn or Ambush Book? We have them. We have them. They're not as popular right now, but yeah, Harley Quinn's pretty popular.
But I think you miss drawing from, like, from Marvel now to DC, now to doing more, like, Batman and Deadpool team up, like, would you?
Yeah, I don't think there are any characters I really miss drawing. Like, I can draw anyone I want in privacy of my room. Semi-free country still. Yeah, here I can do whatever I want. Yeah, so I don't really miss him on that point. I think it's interesting, like, because I drew like Batman, Wolverine on one of the crossover covers. I think it's different sometimes when the drawings get published and people put that category of work in a different box than sort of commissions or just doodles or sketches like that. But there are a lot of characters I miss drawing that are DC characters. So it's not so much drawing the character, it's telling a story around that character, and to me that starts with the writer. And so it's less about, oh my gosh, I gotta work on this book or these characters, but it's like, who can I work with on this character that gets me excited and stuff like that. But yeah, look, there's a part of me that there's still a lot of projects I still want to do, but I recognize that life is limited, and so I have to start thinking about, I can tell you probably the last 5 projects I have.
Yeah. You said you haven't worked on one role, but when you did the Justice League there for a little bit with New 52, I really like that one also there.
Well, thank you, yeah.
You do have a Canadian superhero.
Did you Google it? Okay.
Justice League United. It's Equinox, and she is from Ontario, Canada. She's from
Okay. All right. Does she wear a top hat? Switch this over quickly. It's actually not too different.
If I take that hat off.
Right?
That was,
Can I draw on your phone? Sorry.
Bow tie right here. That's Jeff Lemire's series.
Oh yeah. No, I think that's right. He did a lot of research with some indigenous
Canadian stuff, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That was a project. That's right.
Yes.
I remember.
Which one of us? Something.
Oh. Who's the other person?
Both of us.
Oh, okay. You guys want to confer and come up with one?
I'll let you know.
Okay. Then we'll go to you after that.
Sure. A fun question. What was the last comic book character that you dressed as cosplay or?
I'm gonna keep it clean. What's the last comic book character?
Cosplay or Halloween?
Spock, but he's not a comic book character. I had my wife dress up as Edith Keeler. It's online. That was fun. And then I dressed up as Frodo. Those are the last 2 costumes I dressed up in.
And I was just wondering.
How about you? What's the last costume you dressed up in?
Iron Fist.
Iron Fist? Okay.
Out of Marvel.
I know who Iron Fist is. You don't have to tell me, sir. What?
Oh, and a Marvel cruise.
On a Marvel cruise?
I think I used to leave it now.
Yeah, right. How was that?
Pretty good. It was all Disney.
Oh, it was all Disney? Okay. Person behind?
Yes, I know that you have a large family. I was just curious if you ever ended up having Easter eggs in any of your books, putting your children in there.
So I have 9 kids. Yeah. The hardest number of kids to have is actually 1, I think, because they're with you all the time. And then the second hardest is 9. And then 8, 7, and then 3, because they could team up against each other. That's a very nightmare situation. So yeah, not so much the kids. I've put references to my wife Carla, who's here, like, you know, like Superman Unchained, like the cover, he's breaking all these chains, and then I wrote like a secret message to Carla in the chains, if you read them. Yeah. Who am I creating this stuff for, though? And most people don't know, so what is the point? And then sometimes I'll draw friends and family in the background, like there was a dead man piece I did for like during COVID, and had all these faces of people in the background. They were all people I knew. But it's not so much with the kids, because if they see themselves in a comic, they're like, can I have that page? And I go, I can sell that page and pay for your college tuition. So no, I'm not. And so I don't want to get in that fight with them. Makes sense. Yeah. 5 minutes left? What? I thought we started at 3:15.
I have an update for everybody.
Is there a manager I can speak to here?
So, if you don't mind, while you were drawing some more, we had changes over this last few minutes. So, how many of you guys have the ultimate sketch experience? If you have the ultimate sketch experience, I need you to stick around at the end of this, because you guys are the ones that are going at 4 o'clock to room 715A, but only you guys. Everyone else will start with the autographs and all that redemption stuff. Get in line at 5 o'clock. It starts back up at 5:30. All right? All of that's going to happen with Kevin Boyd down on the show floor. But only if you have the ultimate sketch experience are you to come with us at 4.
Question, I had to go to North after this to get Ian McGregor's autograph.
Who cares about Ewan McGregor?
Oh, I have to go meet Ewan McGregor. We're having coffee. How do I incorporate this?
He is not the one you came here for. Like,
He is, but...
Absolutely. How am I going to finish this in 3 minutes?
By being Jim Lee, of course.
Yeah. Okay, another question. Double hand in the center there.
It's going well. I'm a huge fan of Remy LeBeau, as much as most people out here, hopefully. And I know you produced him with Chris Claremont back in the late 80s. And I'd like to know, what were some of the biggest inspirations you had in order to create Remy LeBeau and Gambit in terms of his aesthetic and his character? What was your reference?
So Remy LeBeau was created in the 90s. And was anyone alive in the 90s here except for me? Was there any of you adults in the 90s? Okay. All right, so in the 90s, Cajun food was all the rage. It was. Emerald Lagasse, right? Like, bam. Like, I don't know what it was. But catfish, right, or crawfish or whatever. And a lot of these Cajun dishes were very popular. And so we obviously said, like, well, if it's popular as food, it's going to be popular as a superhero. We got to create a Cajun superhero. And so that was where that came from, and that was Chris Claremont came up with the name, Gambit, and then that he was Creole or from Louisiana. And then I came up with the power, which is from chemistry, valence, electrons. Any chemists here? There's a chemist back there, right? Valence state of electrons, you know that, right? Right. So like if you use a microwave, I don't want to get into it, but basically he can control the valence state of electrons, which would basically empower objects with energy. And Chris's eyes glazed over as I was saying. And he's like, wait, can you throw playing cards? I'm in. And I thought, since he's sort of this rakish type character, he would obviously be a degenerate gambler and know his way around cards, and then he could throw cards, because you could throw cards and do damage with them, but if the valence states of those cards were energized, woo! So that was the origin of all that. Who's in this panel after this?
There is a Code 8 graphic novel that's coming out with Ravi Amel, and it's getting a big push.
Got it. Okay.
And Jim Lee.
Yes.
I mean,
what does Kevin Boyd look like?
He is now attached to a table, so you can't miss him. No, he's like literally downstairs where the Jim Signs setup is. He's that guy at the table. It's nice.
He was one giving out the tickets.
Yes, he was giving out the tickets.
That's the guy I haven't seen yet.
Yes. So if there's anybody, if you walk around, you're like, I've never seen you. Are you Kevin Boyd? Yes, they are.
All right. Another questions?
I have a question.
Ooh. Yeah. Okay. You have a question?
Yeah. So with the full absolute universe, right, going around.
Yes.
Has there been one character you haven't drawn yet that you're really interested in drawing?
In the absolute universe?
Yeah.
I just did those covers. I had a lot of fun time drawing Absolute Wonder Woman, right? With her sort of anime-inspired giant sword and things like that. So, yeah, that's a lot of fun.
I hope.
Well, person with the headphones on.
Hi.
Yes.
I'd just like to know, working in comics for such a long time, what is your favorite DC villains and why?
My favorite DC villains? Probably just the classic ones. Lex Luthor, Joker, Hush. Yeah. I like, gosh, my favorite, I liked, Tattoo. There were a lot of I grew up on the Giants, like the 60-pager Justice League books from the 70s, and all those Justice League stories, there would be like 6 or 7 villains, and then they would break up and they'd all fight like in pairs and stuff like that. The Flash Rogues Gallery, big favorite of those characters, from Gorilla Grodd to Mirror Master, and love the Flash as well. A lot of the DC villains are just really fun. They're over the top, and it's hard to pick just one. I'm almost done with this, and then we're gonna give it away.
Do you think AI will threaten the comic industry?
He had no point of view in that question. It was very benign. He wasn't saying yes or no. You guys just all, you're a very brave person. What was the question? Will AI destroy the comic book industry? Oh, threaten. Threat or menace. That's a classic Spider-Man headline. I'm not too scared of it, because I'm almost done with my career. But there are a lot of younger artists that I probably fear for their livelihoods. No. I don't know. I've used I'm going to keep drawing while I talk. So I've used different AI engines for fun, and it never gives me what I sort of imagine, you know? Like I'll go 3/4 character running through the snow, jumping, leaping, and big explosions behind their back or whatever. And it gives me something super lame, actually. And then I refine it some more, and it makes it even worse. It actually doesn't listen to what I want it to do. So it's very frustrating. I go, I'll just draw the damn thing. And so I think as like a novelty, like just like, oh, here's a filter or whatever, it makes sense, or it can be fun. But as a real tool, it's nowhere close to, in my mind, being something that's going to replace humans. And it kind of robs you of the joy of actually drawing something and struggling and sort of mastering a skill, which I think art is. So, and people seem to be very against it. So I'm probably not as, what am I trying to say? I'm kind of neutral around it, but right now I don't think it really is producing anything worth publishing.
The reason why it wasn't doing well is because it's a fan of Jim Lee and just wanted him to draw. That's literally the situation. I think we have time for like one more question.
Sure, fantastic. And I'm almost done with this.
There's a small child right there.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Kiddo.
How much whiteout pens do you use in a year?
So I have like a box of 8 of these at home. I don't, and they last a long time. So 3.5 maybe. I don't know. There was a point where I was very concerned about how many art supplies I was using and just trying to like be efficient and not waste anything. And I said, I'm a professional artist. I should have boxes and boxes of lead and boxes of whiteout. You know, like when you see like a musician come out on stage, they've got 6 or 7 guitars, and you see a tennis player, they've got like 10 different rackets, right? And I'm like worried about like one pencil and like having some extra lead. I said, this is my vocation. I should just go all out. And so I've been on a buying binge of just buying tons and tons of pencils and markers and stuff like that. You can have this whiteout thing.
Everyone else there is so mad right now. Like, I didn't ask for a pin!
Well played, because you know that was his original text. If someone in the audience has weird objects, some of you who've been to these panels know. So, does anyone have a set of pliers?
You don't have a set of pliers. There's a hand right there. He's got a set of pliers.
Why do you have a set of pliers?
No. That's personal. Show us the pliers. That's a multi-tool. It's a multi-tool. Are we counting multi-tools?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, there it is, right there. That guy makes some noise. Genius way of denoting that.
Okay.
How do you get it in?
How do you get that? Contraband is contraband, even if it gets caught.
Security, get the sketch but arrest him.
Ladies and gentlemen, do me a favor, make some noise once again for